Good morning, everyone. On behalf of PL Capital, I'll welcome you all for the webinar on the business update of Powergrid Corporation of India Limited. We'll have a full board and we'll start with the detailed presentation, which will be followed up by Q&A. And I'd like to thank the management for giving us this opportunity. Without much delay, I'll hand over the call to Shri Satya Prakash Das, who is Company Secretary and Compliance Officer. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vishal. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this webinar of Powergrid Corporation of India Limited, convened to interact with analysts and investors and to share an update on company's business performance. Now, I'd like to introduce our esteemed senior management team present with us today. Dr. R.K. Tyagi, Chairman and Managing Director, Dr. Yatindra Dwivedi, Director Personnel, Sri Naveen Srivastav, Director Operations, Sri Bura Bansi Ram Mohan, Director Projects. Our Director of Finance, Sri G. Ravishankar, will join us shortly through video conferencing. Now I will invite our Chairman and Managing Director, Dr. Tyagi, to deliver his opening remarks, and which will be followed by a question and answer session and further things. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, dear investors. Thank you for showing confidence in Powergrid. We are committed to the belief of all the investors in Powergrid, all the trust in Powergrid, and we thought that for this financial year, whatever we have committed, we have already achieved that, and we are going to achieve better than what we committed. And for the future plans also, we will like to share how we are going to contribute towards growth of the nation by investing and by constructing transmission system in India and outside India, and making India developed nation by 2047. So that was the agenda for today. So I will just like to share some presentation and details and data. My presentation will consist of foundation and growth outlook, then execution and operational excellence, revised capex and capitalization guidance, then multi-year capex and capitalization runaway, like how we are going to go in future, next 10 years or 9 years, how we are going to invest. Then shareholder value creation, transmission opportunity and growth visibility, then SPV merger. As you know that Powergrid foundation of long-term value creation, it consists of India's largest and system critical power transmission utility. We have predominantly regulated asset base with a growing share of competitive bidding transmission system where the revenues are on an annuity basis. Then non-substitutable backbone of India's energy transition, because everybody knows that energy security requires energy transition, especially for India, which is a very heavily dependent on imported fossil fuels. Then strong earnings visibility supported by India's transmission capex cycle, strong balance sheet, dividend visibility and execution excellence, adaptive execution and superior project implementation. We have 35 plus years of execution excellence. So what is the opportunity for Powergrid? Like India's transmission system is going to expand leaps and bounds. Electricity demand is going to increase. If we are imagining or if we are considering developed nation by 2047, our power demand is going to increase. power demand for data center, power demand for artificial intelligence, power demand for EV and other industrial growth, electrification of economy. So our demand is going to increase. So it requires that transmission system also required to be there. Then renewable energy expansion as per 2035 CA guideline, it says that by 2035-36 we will have 786 renewable capacity and total capacity will be somewhere about 1100 gigawatt. So it will have large RE hubs. So it will require long distance green evacuation transmission systems. Then grid complexity, because of RE penetration, it is going to increase day by day. So unless until we have the balancing mechanism or stabilizers in the grid, like synchronous condensers, use of HVDC, use of 1200 kV network, this grid is going to be a challenge. So that opportunity is also there. So it will have inter-regional transfer requirement and balancing and reliability infrastructure, because RE means it is susceptible to variation, it is susceptible to intermittency. So we have to have some reserves, we have to have some stabilizers in the grid. As I told, that new demand centers like AI, data center, and digital infrastructure, transport, electrification, green hydrogen ecosystem will require huge energy demand or huge power demand. So we will have opportunity to construct transmission system for meeting these requirements. As you know, that Power Grid has positioned itself to be the largest transmission company not in the country, but in the world. We are one of the largest transmission network owner in the world with the 765 kV the backbone transmission system. Today we have 290 substations. These are 400 kV, 765 kV and 800 kV HVDC substations with MVA capacity 6,12,000 MVA capacity out of 14 lakh MVA capacity in the country. So you can imagine that we are a major contributor in MVA capacity. Our inter-regional capacity is out of 1,20,000. We are about 1,01,000 gigawatt capacity. Across India, we have 11 HVDC projects and 765 kV network. We have world's largest 765 kV transmission network, which we are proud to demonstrate that we can construct transmission system at 765 kV. We can operate efficiently this network. So system critical national presence we have. Then we have proven HVDC leadership in HVDC 765 kV, even 1200 kV. Technology also it was developed by Power Grid in 2012, which is the largest voltage of transmission in the world. And difficult to replicate operating scale, technical depth and execution capability. We have very good technical team, competent team to operate and manage such huge asset base. As always, our reliability and availability of transmission system has been excellent. We this financial year we are having availability of 99.84%. Trippings per line 0.25 trippings per line. That means that our one line trips in every 4 years on an average. So which is a very high reliability indicator. And it is enabled by digital and predictive maintenance, AI-based defect detection, drone-based patrolling, advanced condition monitoring techniques are being used by Power Grid maintenance engineers and asset management engineers. We have done capex of more than 100,000 crores in last 5 years and capitalized more than 90,000 crore projects from 21 to 26. So our CAGR asset base has increased at about 10%. Today, we are a company of gross fixed assets more than 300,000 crores. For this financial year, 25-26, I am happy to announce that last investors meet, we have revised our capex guideline to 32,000. So today we are now announcing that our capex guideline will be 35,000 plus crore, and already we have achieved 35,000. So it is a good achievement by Power Grid team. And investors, we want to thank investors in posing faith in Power Grid. Similarly, in capitalization also, last February, we have announced on 2nd February that our capitalization will be 22,000 crores, but we have already achieved 22,749 crore with the commissioning of Khetri Narela, with the commissioning of Badla 3 Sikar 2 line, with the commissioning of Navsari Ahmedabad line. We have already achieved more than 22,000 crores, which is a record in last so many years. And with the commissioning of Navsari Phadke, which is expected to be commissioned by this month end, maybe by 28th, 29th, it will be commissioned. Our capitalization will be 25,000 crore plus. So we are committing today that our capitalization for this financial year is going to be more than 25,000 crores. The details of the elements commissioned in this financial year, we are talking about transmission line 4,239 circuit kilometer. Transformation capacity, although it is written 6,370 MVA, but actually so far it is 52,555. But in next 1 week, it will be more than 62,000 MVA. So there is a small change that this transformation capacity, as on today, it is 52,555. But by this month end, it will be 62,000 MVA capacity. So almost 10,000 MVA capacity in final stages of commissioning. So this figure will be surpassed. So we will be somewhere about 62,000 MVA. This year we have commissioned 8 substations. So one more substation is likely to be commissioned at Bikaner 3. So it is going to be 9 substations. And the elements are Badla 3, Sikar 2 at 765 kV level, 765 kV Badla 3 Ramgarh 2, 765 kV Khetri Narela, 765 kV Ahmedabad Lakadia, Ahmedabad Navsari, Ahmedabad Banaskantha, Badla 2 Sikar 2, and then Khavda 2, Khavda 3, Maharanibagh Narela, Kundul 3 Anantpuram, and Badla 3 station, Ramgarh 2 station, Narela station, Dosa station, KPS 2, Khavda 2 and Khavda 3 stations. These are the highlights of the elements, transmission elements we have added in this financial year. For multi-year capex and capitalization guidance, like as we have told that this year, our capex will be 35,000. So next year we have already committed with Government of India to be 37,000 crores. Definitely it is going to be more than 37,000. So for next financial year, it will be 45,000 crores. And for financial year 27-28, it is going to be more than 82,000 crores capex. Similarly, capitalization this year 25,000, next year 30,000. Then in FY28, it is going to be 35,000. So projected capitalization will be somewhere about 65,000 in next 2 years. If we talk about our value creation, we have this market cap has grown from 21 to 26 by 2.5 times. Similarly, share price appreciation is also 2.5 times. Dividend yield has increased to 3 to 4%. In last 5 years, from FY21 to FY26, we have paid dividend more than 50,000 crores to our investors, to our shareholders. And on last February 26, our market cap was about 2,98,000. 2,77,000 crores. So we are among India's top 35 companies by market capitalization, and we have robust pipelines of transmission projects, strong execution track record with consistent TBCB market share. And our leading global and domestic investors are Capital Group, BlackRock, Schroders, then Vanguard, GIC, LIC, UTI, SDFC, ICICI, then SBI Mutual Fund. So our 45% investment is from institutional ownership only, whether it is foreign or domestic. If we talk of our transmission opportunity or business opportunities for next 10 years, because now the CA or Ministry of Power has issued guidelines up to 35. So with talks of about 7.9 trillion rupees opportunity, which will be because of our peak demand by 459 gigawatt by 2035-36, and installed capacity of non-fossil fuel, it will be 786, and it will have intra-state, inter-regional capacity. So we have a strong policy guidelines, policy backup, policy support by Government of India. So we are sure that transmission network visibility of about 8 trillion rupees will be there. So we will also play a very important role in this. If we consider HVDC interconnections with Sri Lanka, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Singapore, Maldives, and in Myanmar, then another 3 lakh crore to 4 lakh crore visibility is there. Then Brahmaputra Basin, there are about number of HVDC projects, almost 4 lakh crore projects are there, which are going to be separate. So total the visibility for transmission project will be somewhere 15 trillion or 15 lakh crore investment in transmission system, considering national, international, intrastate, interstate, all projects will be somewhere about 15 lakh crore. So Power Grid is going to play very, very important, because it involves also one sun, one world, one grid concept given by our Honorable Prime Minister. So we have a very good future, bright future for Power Grid investors. So if we consider even 50% of this, so we are going to play a very major role in building transmission or power infrastructure in the country. Then if we consider today, if we consider total 1,48,000, next. We have works in hand about 1,48,000 crores, and CWIP is about more than 49,000 crores. If we consider 50% of this, so we have almost visibility of 9 lakh crore up to 2035. So even if we consider 60% of this, so we are going to have almost 6 lakh crore projects to be executed by Power Grid by 2035, which makes almost 60,000 crores per year. So we have a very bright future for Power Grid investors. Recently, with the support of Government of India, we have now approval for merging 19 SPVs into 2 SPVs. MCA approval has been received. Now, we are also considering merger of 28 wholly owned subsidiaries into two wholly owned subsidiaries. Board of approval is already accorded, and we are going to now Ministry of Power. So this governance issue and this will be reduced, and we will be able to manage in a better way. So this is good news for our investors that we are going to have reduced numbers of SPVs. So thank you very much for your time and for your support to PowerGrid as always. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And now we'll open the lines for Q&A. From the attendees, I request anyone who has a question, I request you to please raise your hand. I'll unmute the line and then you can introduce yourself and the company name, and then you can go ahead with the question. So, sir, first we have Mr. Raj Gandhi. I'll unmute the line and request you to go over.
Hi, sir. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. Just wanted to understand, given that we are in a very inflationary period, especially energy, and then there might be a lot of cascading impact on TBCB projects that I believe there is a fixed revenue stream that we will earn, whereas the execution cost we presume can see some escalation. So how are we placed in such a scenario for the current project TBCB projects that we've won, and do you expect any hit to the estimated IRRs there? Thank you.
Should I respond immediately or after later on?
So whatever.
So we can have one question and one answer, and then that way we can move, if that is fine, sir.
Okay. So yes, thank you for your query. That we are having a very good project management and this execution efficiency. So we are not expecting any price escalation. There have been some price escalation considering this compensation towards land diminution value. And in case such force majeure conditions are there, so we are claiming extra tariff from CRC, which is normally given approved by CRC, and we are able to maintain our revenue as per the initial guidance. So we are not expecting any price escalation, abnormal price escalation, which is causing our project to be less. This returns will be maintained.
Okay, so even in TBCB, like land compensation and all, you can pass through even for the bid out TBCB projects.
Yeah. So whatever this government guidelines are there at the time of bidding, in case there are some guidelines issued later on, so those expenses are normally passed through, and we are giving additional tariff because of those conditions.
Sure, helpful, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. From Siddharth Gupta, I request you to please unmute and share your company details, and then you can go ahead with the question.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for the update. I had two quick questions. Given that we've had a very positive increase in our CapEx announcements for FY26 and we've met our target already, I was just surprised to see that there's no upward revision for the next 2 years. So what is the scope that we envisage there? And second, at what operational capacity are we presently functioning? And at what ability will we be able to participate in excessive projects if they're announced over the next couple of years vis-a-vis other private players? Thank you.
Yes, normally this our guidelines of 37,000 and 45,000 for next year, and similarly for capitalization 30,000 and 35,000. So normally we have these targets, and we normally surpass our targets given to us. and we will change in between the years. Whenever suppose we meet after 6 months of financial year 27, then accordingly we can change our guidelines depending on the progress at ground. So as of now, we are giving this guidance only. Regarding your next question, I think we have sufficient fund to compete in the projects which are going to be available for bidding in the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So we don't see any challenge in this regard.
But sir, what about the execution abilities? In that context, will we be able, like with the execution delays, if at all any that come up are in?
There have been concerns about execution delays, as we told that there were issues of transformer supply, there were issues of ROW, there were issues of this skilled manpower. So all the three issues have been addressed. First, ROW issue has been addressed by Government of India by announcing the revised guidelines for compensation. For land diminution value, they have increased to 30% for rural area, 45% of semi-urban area, 60% for urban area, metro cities. So, and at market rate. And how market rate is to be decided, that is also now a procedure has been given by Ministry of Power. So we don't expect that there will be the severe ROW issues, because if we pay compensation as per these guidelines, so ROW issues will be taken care. So it cannot be reduced to zero. So definitely there will be some issues, but we have sufficient experience considering last 3-4 years of our struggle. But now we don't see much problem in this area. Now we have a dedicated ROW cell in each region. Even at corporate office, we have a big team of ROW who are taking care only ROW. So we are now trained manpower to handle these issues. Second issue was skilled manpower. Now we have already 5 numbers of skill development centers, and which are training about 50 the fitters or technicians in 3 months. So and now 2 more are coming. So we will have almost 7 skill development centers. So 350 technicians and fitters will be trained in 3 months. So 350 into 4, almost 1400 to 1500 technicians or fitters will be trained, which will make almost 100 plus gangs, erection gangs each year. So more and more gangs will be available for execution of transmission system. So this manpower shortage or shortage of skilled manpower will be taken care. So we don't see any problem in this area also. Similarly, for transformers and reactors supply and other equipment supply, all manufacturers are now going for augmentation of their capacity. The augmentation capacities will be more than 4 lakh MVA capacity each year, and which will be more than the demand of these equipments. So there also we see that this challenge also will be met, and moreover, Government of India is very now proactive, and wherever problems are there, it is being addressed by Government of India. So we don't see any execution challenge in next 2 years or 3 years.
So if I just understood correctly, what you've said is that you may revise your capex guidance further. As of now, you're sticking to that. Second,
Yeah.
that you don't anticipate any execution problems that we were facing in the past couple of years going forward into the next few years, and you will be in a position to take on additional orders and at least bid for them and compete for them. Correct?
Actually, why we have given this 37,000 or 35,000, we have given considering whatever projects we have in hand. And tomorrow, how many projects are going to be with Power Grid, that today we don't know. But suppose tomorrow I win more projects. So definitely in financial year 26-27, I will invest more money. Similarly, in 27-28 also, I will invest more money. So our capex may go high, but because considering projects in hand, we have given visibility based on the projects in hand, and whatever projects we are sure that these will be with Power Grid. Considering that only we have given this guidance.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. So next we have Mohit Kumar. Please go ahead.
Please carry on.
Yeah, hi.
Mohit,
I'm
yeah.
Good morning, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, please carry on.
Yeah, hi. So my first question is it possible to define the savings from the new corporate structure? And why do we have two new SPV rather than one SPV? And also does this mean that the new assets will get built in these two new SPVs and we won't require a separate license for each SPV?
Actually, for this for a SPV, as per the DP guidelines or DIPAM guidelines, this our limit is for each project was initially 5,000 crores. So we could merge only SPVs as per this equity should not be more than 5,000 crores. But now this guideline or this limit has been increased to 7,500 crores. So accordingly, we can merge more SPVs. So depending on the size of the SPV. Okay, so and more SPVs are like merged, and still we are discussing with DIPAM. Our other day we had meeting with the DPIT also, and now we are asking that this limit should be increased to more than 10,000 crores, even 15. They are considering even 15,000 crores. So in case it is further increased, then more and more SPVs will be merged into one.
Understood. And any quantum of savings, sir, which is possible? And do we need any approval from CERC for undergoing this change?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I'll take this, sir. Sir, for any merger, we used to take the approval of the regulator. Yeah, last time also when we merged this 19 companies into two, we took the approval of the regulator in addition to DIPAM. So similarly, we will approach our administrative ministry who will forward it to DIPAM, and then simultaneously we will approach the CERC as well as the MCA for this type of mergers.
Is it possible to define the savings, sir, saving quantum?
There will be definitely some part of, moreover, this is for administrative purposes and governance. We wanted to do this type of mergers more than any cost savings. Ultimately, the line has to function independently for any technical the features that will remain as it is. So the license, everything will remain as it is. So as such, we have not quantified anything, but definitely this will be helpful in maintaining a lesser number of SPVs rather than, because already we have 78, maybe going forward when like Chairman Sir was projecting as like the pipeline of like 15 trillion, and even if we have half of that, maybe out of 78, another 100 companies will be there. So that's mainly the focus is on to have a more administrative control rather than the financial savings.
Understood, sir. My second question is that the capex required to evacuate RE capacity. The CA has come out with a paper that the requirement, the capex requirement is overall is 7.9 trillion or roughly 8 trillion. Is it possible to define the investment requirement to evacuate XRE capacity?
Okay, so let me respond. As I told that for next 10 years, we are on an average, we will have requirement of 60 to 70,000 crores. So considering even if we have say 70,000, so we will have somewhere about 70 means equity will be say 20%. So 16 to 20 somewhere we will have about 12,000 crore requirement of equity. So today we have profit of 15,000 plus. and as we go ahead, so this profit will go to say 17,000, 18,000, 20,000. So even considering our the compulsory dividend payout, which is about 5,000 crores. So 5,000 crores plus 12,000 crores will be 17,000 crores. So we are expecting our profit will be 17,000 crore by the time we require 60,000 crore as a capex. And if we require 70,000, then maybe 14,000 crore will be the capex required for equity. And 14 plus 5, we will have 19,000. So before that, our profit is going to be more than 19,000 crores. So we don't see any issue in meeting this challenge. And even if there is a challenge, so our the equity we can reduce less than 20%. It can become 19% or 18%. So we don't seeing any challenge in meeting the capex requirement as per the guidance given by Ministry of Power or CA.
Understood, sir. Thank you and all the best.
Yeah, please carry on.
Hi, sir. My sincere compliments and regards to CMD, sir, for your dedicated service to the nation, leading Power Grid, and my best wishes for future as you do your superannuation from the company. Sir, I have two questions.
Please carry on.
The first question is in relation to the Brahmaputra scheme related transmission investments of 4 trillion rupees and the OSOWOG, which by implication is about 3 trillion. When do you expect associated projects under both these schemes to start getting awarded? And so when will the tendering activity for this start? Given that Brahmaputra actually 2035 plus, but when will the awarding start for this? That's my first question.
Excuse me, can you repeat a little slower? There is some disturbance. Yeah.
Mohit's line is still unmuted. If you can mute it, please. Yeah. My first question is in relation to the Brahmaputra, scheme-related transmission investments of 4 trillion rupees and the OSOWOG-related investment requirement of 3 trillion plus. When will the project start getting awarded under these two schemes?
Okay, so Brahmaputra, as such, already a transmission system has been already planned, and one project is already available for bidding. Like Niglok is a station in Arunachal Pradesh, which will be connected to this lower Subansiri to our Vishwanath Chariali point, and it will be also connected to upper Arunachal Pradesh. So it will because Arunachal is having a lot of hydro potential. So it is almost plus 35,000 megawatt hydro potential is there. So number of HVDC stations are planned. HVDC schemes are planned at 800 kV. So by a total outlook for Brahmaputra Basin is 6 lakh crore. So I am considering only 4 lakh crore up to 2035. Okay. So that is regarding this HVDC. So already this is planned by CTUIL and CA. So maybe in next 1 year or so. So these projects will be available for bidding. Similarly, for One Sun, One World, One Grid, yesterday also our Honorable Minister has mentioned that these projects with Oman, UAE and Saudi Arabia. So these are being discussed at government level. So we are expecting that maybe another 2 to 3 years, these projects will also start materializing. So by 2035, these projects should be available for execution. So that is why we have considered these as a part of this 15 lakh crore.
So my second question is on the Leh Cattle project, which is part of your works in hand of 1.48 lakh crore. So that is almost close to 40-50 billion rupees. So when is the sort of execution on that
Sumit,
part?
I think it seems like your network is a little unstable. Your voice is not clear.
Sorry, is it? Am I audible right now?
You are audible, but the voice is not very, very clear. It is okay. You can go ahead. Go ahead.
Just
Try.
on the Leh Kaithal project, the question is that this forms almost 230 to 250 billion rupees in your works in hand of 1.48 lakh crore. So when is the execution of this particular project, now that it is not under HVDC, when is it likely to start? So what kind of capex are you assuming for that project in FY 27-28?
No, we told that we already have these projects in hand, so we are considering these only. HVDC, we have Khavda to Nagpur already. The one HVDC is there, which is being executed by Power Grid, which is costing almost 35,000 crores. So this is part of this 1,48,000. And moreover, this Pang Kaithal is not part of this. Pang Kaithal we have excluded from 1,48,000 crores.
Okay, that is very clear. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Next, we have Sheikh Taparia. Request you please introduce your firm name and then go ahead with the question.
Hello, so I'm Abhishek from Emkay Global. So my question is, so what is the status of the ongoing capex of rupees 9.16 trillion that was announced in 2023, which is the 2023 to 32 plan, and now this new plan of capex of 7.9 trillion, which is from 27 to 36, which has been announced. So are we envisaging a revision in the existing plan?
Yeah. Because earlier this plan was up to 2032. Now it is being revised to 2035. And now because guidance or planning is based on the different conditions. So now considering 786 gigawatt RE power or non-fossil power by 2035. So this has been revised to 9.1. So this 9.1 trillion or 9.1 lakh crore will be required up to 2035. So earlier 9 lakh crore has been revised. Which is because the number of projects are already executed or they have been already tendered out.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Christopher James. Please introduce yourself and go ahead with the question.
Sirs, thank you for your time. I'm Chris James from 4D Infrastructure. Just one question as to what you see as your ultimate capacity to deliver. And you give that great example on your visible execution pipeline that says at an assumed 50% win rate, it could yield projects up to 7.5 trillion. But to the extent you were successful in 50% or more, what is your true execution capability? You mentioned things like skilled access to skilled manpower, but there's procurement challenges as well, and also your own balance sheet in being able to deliver these projects. So clearly things are done over time, but if we look at today and what you're able to deliver, what is your true capacity? Thank you.
In last 3 to 4 years, we have been doing capex of about 8,000 to 9,000 crores. Last year, we have done 12,500 crores. Last year, we did 26,000 crores. This year, we have done 35,000 crores. So we are, as the demand is increasing, demand for execution is increasing, our capacity is also increasing. So we are continuously increasing our capability for execution. We are developing more and more vendors. We are developing more and more trained manpower, including our capability within Power Grid also. We are continuously increasing. So we are very sure that whatever challenge or whatever execution requirement will be there, we are going to achieve. So from 8,000 to 35,000 in 3 years, which is almost more than 4 times. So we are very sure that whatever challenge is given to Power Grid, we are going to achieve that.
That's right. So to the extent that you had a higher success rate, it won't prohibit you from participating in additional bids.
Yeah, because already whatever projects we have won under TBCB, our winning percentage has been more than 50% till today. So we will like to maintain that 50%.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Next, we have a question from S. Praveen Vishesh. Please unmute and go ahead with the question.
So this is Praveen here from PPFAS. I just wanted your take on, I mean, last year we had seen a slowdown in project tendering. So I just wanted to understand. Hello?
Please
Hello?
carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Praveen.
Yeah. So last year we saw a slowdown in project tendering. So was it more on the ISTS side or was it intrastate projects?
Actually, there have been some issues in planning of evacuation system from Rajasthan because out of initially the planning was for 115 gigawatt from Rajasthan itself, and so far only 73 gigawatt transmission system has been has been tendered out, and most of the this transmission system is under execution. So beyond 73 gigawatt, including 2 HVDC. One HVDC is from Badla to Fatehpur. Second is Barmer to now South Kalam. So beyond this, through AC network, there have been challenges in studies that how to evacuate this power. So there were some consideration for considering HVDC, but for HVDC, the landing point, say in Chhattisgarh or in Odisha, that landing point was the CTIL or CA was not able to finalize those projects because landing point was not getting finalized, because landing point means there should be demand in that particular area. So that demand was not getting finalized. So there were some delays in this tendering of these projects or planning beyond 73 gigawatt. But now CTIL has come out with a number of projects, even including AC projects in towards Chandigarh, towards Haryana, towards Punjab, towards Western UP, so, and even in MP. Some AC network and also HVDC projects are being considered, and beyond which there will be 1100 kV projects in Maharashtra and Chhattisgarh, and in Odisha, that area, and 1100, which that means we will have transmission, this evacuation of power through HVDC, and the further through 1200 kV AC network, it will be further transmitted to this Maharashtra and to Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. So these plans, in between there was some breakage. Now we are hopeful that it will be now available for bidding.
Sir, and on ROW, how are things now? I think there was a major improvement in the last quarter, but now how are you seeing things? Again, just if you could recap, it would be great.
ROW, as I told that, it is a challenge. Always it is going to be a challenge, but there are now methodology is already finalized, and we also know how to now tackle these ROW issues. So our team is also trained, and we are able to manage now. Now you see in last 6 months, after government has come out with the clear guidelines, we have executed number of projects. So similarly, this speed will continue now. and ROW will come and it will get resolved with the help of Government of India. Our minister, Honorable Minister, is very positive. So whatever problem is being faced by us, immediately there is a good support from Government of India. So we are hopeful that whatever ROW issues are going to be encountered, there will be some solution and we'll be able to execute these projects.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a follow-up from Mr. Raj Gandhi.
Thanks for the opportunity again. Just needed to know what we've heard is, till date participating in interstate projects. Now we intend to also participate in intrastate projects and also battery projects. So if you could highlight some of these opportunities which are coming up, and also with the emergence of battery and BESS in a big way, how does it alter the transmission capex? I presume with battery you don't need to build as much redundance versus a pure solar. So if you could just highlight some of these, how is it changing on the planning? Thanks.
Yes, you told that intrastate and battery energy storage. Intrastate, we are participating, but generally intrastate projects are smaller projects. So we are not very aggressive in intrastate small projects because we have so many projects, and because it will require similar effort, similar to bigger projects. So we are not very aggressive in intrastate. Then regarding the battery energy storage, we are participating, but we are not able to win best projects because competition. There are a number of smaller players, and we have only one project. Now we are working out our revised methodology, how we can be more competitive. We want to have tie-ups with the battery suppliers in advance, so that our cost can be further optimized. Regarding this requirement of transmission system, definitely if we had to increase the utilization of transmission system, battery energy storage system at the generating station itself or RE developer station itself. So it is going to be the requirement tomorrow. So number of our best projects are coming for this storage of energy, which will be the energy will be fed in the transmission system in the peak hours or in the evening hours. But demand is so much that transmission system is going to increase day by day. So that is why CA has come out with this 9.1 trillion rupees requirement of transmission system by 2035.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next, we have Satyadeep Jain.
Hi, am I audible?
Yep. Please carry on.
Just firstly, wanted to ask about the impact of the GIB court ruling on GIB on Power Grid. Were there some projects that got cleared because of this, the Ramgarh, Bhadla? So just trying to understand the increase in capitalization and all, how much of the impact was there on ruling and overall impact of Power Grid on this?
So we don't have any impact of GIB in Rajasthan or Ramgarh, that area. So our projects were, whatever projects, transmission projects were there, it is outside that area. And whatever guidance has been given by Honorable Supreme Court. And in future, all projects, CTUIL is taking care that all projects are outside GIB area. So we don't see any impact of GIB on Power Grid transmission projects.
Fair enough. So secondly, just wanted to understand. So there are a lot of these pending issues which would have helped clear up some transmission projects. So for based on what you're saying on improving skilled labor force, ROW issues, do we assume that new projects, one will have 2-year commissioning timeline? Because recent projects have taken three and a half years for AC. So what is based on what you see? what is the timeline commissioning for new projects for AC and HVDC?
We have, based on our experience, we have given feedback to Government of India that 18 months or 24 months is not feasible. This timeline is not right. So at least we should get 30 months or 36 months for this transmission project to be executed. So you see that whatever projects are coming now, they are either 30 months or 36 months. So now we will not have this 18 months or 24 months. And by that time, 30 months or 36 months, we will be able to execute these projects in that timeline. So whatever delays you have seen earlier, these were like Bhadla Sikar, Bhadla 3 to Sikar, Bhadla 2 to Sikar 2. So these were all 18 months, Narela Khetri. So 18 months not possible to be executed considering these ROW issues and the supply chain issues.
So just quickly, we'll take the last one to question. So next we have Parth Nanavati. Please go ahead with the question.
Hi, so thank you so much for taking my question, and congratulations on out delivering again. So my question is more macro in nature. Just wanted to understand, given we're sort of sitting in an El Nino situation where temperatures are expected to go up materially, how should we think of grid utilization? Part one, and part two of the question is, vis-a-vis last year, what are we sort of thinking of in terms of power deficit, both from gas and hydro, given there is news flow that snow buildup, especially in hydro, is not adequate, and gas, of course, we know from the Middle East situation that we are going through. That's it from me. Thanks.
Yeah, in this regard, our Honorable Power Minister has reviewed the situation. Yesterday also there was a review meeting by Honorable Prime Minister regarding this energy challenge and energy crisis, possible energy crisis in India. And our Honorable Power Minister has taken a review of all the stakeholders like Ministry of Power and CA and NTPC and other things. So as per the discussion, as per the this Grid India or CA, we are going to have almost 270 gigawatt requirement in May or June, and for which we have sufficient resources to meet that requirement. And like last year, we had about 250 gigawatt of demand in summertime, which was on, say, I think 24th May 2024. And again, now in May, June, July, that time, this demand is going to increase somewhere about 270 to 75 gigawatt. So we are prepared, grid is prepared to meet that requirement as per the discussion and review taken by our Honorable Power Minister.
Thank you. Sir, we will take last question from the line of Mr. Shirom Kapoor.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Just want to ask you on this new 7.9 trillion plan that we are talking about. And you mentioned that the earlier 9.1 trillion plan has now been revised. So on your earlier call, you had mentioned that of that 9.1 trillion, around 2.4 trillion has already been bid out, and over the next 4 years or so, we could expect another 4 trillion worth of projects coming into the bid pipeline over the next 4 to 5 years. So how has that changed with the new revised sort of transmission opportunity from FY 27-36? One, could you comment on of that original 9.1 trillion, how much has already been bid out, and how much of that has been that requirement has been met, and subsequent from here till FY 36, how you see the upcoming bid pipeline over the next 3 to 4 years, whether there's any changes in that given the new plan by CEA?
Like as per this report, which was released on 19th March in the Bharat Energy Summit, and this report is recently prepared. So whatever ongoing projects were there earlier before this report, they will continue to be there. and additional projects which have been identified. So the CTIL and CA will further work out on these projects, and when they will be available, that will be known only after some time. So today I cannot comment on that. And regarding this, let me clarify that 1,48,000 work in progress is considering that Leh Pang. Earlier we have considered Leh Pang, that Pang Kathal project, HVDC project into our account, but now we are not we are excluding that project because it is in fluid condition. Because in between there was a discussion that it will be changed to AC network. So that is why we have excluded from our guidance. And now 148 is including CWIP. So it is not excluding CWIP. So 148 minus 49. So we have about 1 lakh crore projects practically for capex. Unless until we win more projects, or unless until we get this Leh Pang Kathal AC or HVDC project given to Power Grid again. So that clarification I wanted to give.
Sure, sir. And the number that you mentioned even in your presentation, that from 29 to 36, you're expecting average capex of about 40,000 crores and capitalization of 35,000 crores. So depending on the bid pipeline, so what is the kind of bid pipeline that you are looking at least in the near term for the next 3 to 4 years? Normally you give a number. Last time you mentioned about 70,000 crores worth of projects are in the near term pipeline, and another 3.6 over the next 4 years, where you might average 90,000 crores worth of bids over the next 4 years. So is there any update to this pipeline that you're seeing, in terms of annually what bids are coming on, what projects are coming up for bidding?
After 2nd February, because I told that this report is recently announced and this is released recently only. So any change because of that will be known after some time. So we are maintaining whatever we have discussed on 2nd February in Mumbai during that investors meet. So it will remain unchanged as of now. It may change after some time.
Sure, sir. I think this was quite a detailed presentation, and updating on what is the development at Power Grid. We have come to an end of this webinar, and I'll hand it over the mic to you for any closing comment from your side, sir.
So thank you all investors, our partners, for this sharing your concerns, sharing your queries with us. And we are committed to meet your expectation. And we hope that more and more investment will be available for Power Grid. More investors will join, and we will be able to deliver one of the best company in India. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you. And with this, the webinar on Power Grid Corporation, and you may all disconnect the lines now. Thank you.